Violence solves everything.
Fear the assassin with no master.
The isles will bloom again.
The dig site.
Beset by spirits, my home laid to waste. Call me to
Welcome to the Howling Abyss. Minions have spawned.
Done.
First blood.
Stillness is not peace, it is death.
An enemy has been slain. been slain.
Come on, live a little while you can.
A summoner has disconnected. Shut down. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Watch my trust.
Enemy rampage.
Another blade stuck in my bark. Maelstrom has not ended.
Defeat.
I'm no hero, just a yordle with a hammer.
I thought you'd never pick me.
Justice takes wing.
trail. I've got friends in high places.
Welcome to the Howling Abyss.
Who's there? Fiora, who? Valor. That's just mean.
Minions have spawned.
And walk into a tavern. Valor's shadow is the last thing you'll see.
Fine choice, indubitably.
A bird's eye view is the best advantage. Val's stealing all the glory again.
Good day!
An ally has been slain. Shut down.
Just like something fresh.
Enemy triple kill.
And S is victorious!
We Demacians are no easy prey.
Shut down. Ace. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
There's always a trail.
An enemy has been slain.
Demacia is counting on us.
enjoying yourself, but there is a war going on out
An
there.
ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Welcome! That one's top drawer.
Buy me some time.
Tell that ghost to stop research.
Aced.
Find me a path. Demacia is counting on us.
An ally has been slain. Enemy double kill. An ally has been slain. Enemy triple kill. Ace.
Demacian needs heroes.
Your turret has been destroyed. been slain. Enemy triple kill. An enemy has been slain. Shut down. Enemy killing spree.
These are no easy prey. I live behind enemy lines.
속이 이거야? 자극 좀 줘봐. 하나가 그리라. 나비와 함께 흩어져라. 과거의 환영이여. 입의 속이 이거야? 넌 답을 찾을 수 있을까?
Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar. You know, it took 1 week for Nintendo to whip out their fangs and basically take down an entire emulator, ladies and gentlemen. Now, remember a while back, a few days ago, I talked about them suing the Yuzu emulator because, yeah, they alleged that it was facilitating wide-scale piracy, specifically for games like Tears of the Kingdom. This Nintendo masterpiece right here. Now look, with Pokemon on the horizon and, you know, Nintendo realizing we want some sales, we don't want people to download our games before they release and start emulating them on their Steam decks, they're already going to start shutting down one of the most popular emulators. Today, right now, if you go to yuzuemu.org, it is literally unavailable, okay? You get this message right here. Hello, user. And Citra fans, Citra being the 3DS emulator right here, and yes, the website still actually functions, so if you did want to access a 3DS emulator right here, you might as well grab it before it eventually also goes away too. Don't worry, it already did. But anyways, what they said is, we write today to inform you that Yuzu and Yuzu's support of Citra are being discontinued, effective immediately. Yuzu and its team have always been against piracy. We started the projects in good faith, out of passion for Nintendo and its consoles and games, and we're not intending to cause harm. But we see now that because our projects can circumvent Nintendo's technological protection measures and allow users to play games outside of authorized hardwares, they have led to extensive piracy. Now I'm gonna stop right there. I can feel the barrel of the AK-47 put up right to the head, okay? All right, the Nintendo jihadists have jumped in, you know, ready to lay waste to these emulator developers. How are you, an emulator developer, not realizing that, oh shit, there's gonna be piracy? It's gonna happen. To give you an idea, and again, this is me being very objective, Yuzu did provide a step-by-step guide on how to circumvent Nintendo's, I guess,
실수했구나.
쓰러질 수 없어.
일어나라! 창룡의 정화! 물러서. 대답해. 마이너스.
수호와 방위를 위해 격파하라.
웃어라! 사느냐 죽느냐 너에게 선택권은 없어. 난 괜찮아. 일어나라! 시험해보지. 빵점! 창룡의 정화! 웃어라! 사느냐 죽느냐 너에게 선택권은 없어.
수호와 방위를 위해 격파하라.
일어나라! 물러서. 대답해. 마이너스. 지식은 척도이자 진리를 파헤치고 오류를 근절하시고. 웃어라! 창룡의 정화! 시험해보지. 빵점!
수호와 방위를 위해 격파하라.
일어나라! 대답해.
Technological measures and back up your BIOS files, your production keys, the necessary firmware information for the emulator to function. For quick context's sake, when you downloaded Yuzu or any Switch emulator, it's not as if you could drop an ISO file into the emulator and whoa, it just worked out of the box. No, you needed to have an actual Nintendo Switch, you needed to run a piece of software on your actual hacked Nintendo Switch, dump its firmware files, and then copy that back over to your PC, plug it in the right folders, and then the emulator would run. It's like downloading a PS2 emulator, PCSX2. Without the PS2 BIOS firmware file, it's useless, okay? That's how it works. So again, for a lot of emulators, you do need firmware files that should be legally obtained. And I'm not going to pretend to say that a lot of people probably don't just download BIOS files randomly over the internet. Not everyone is like me, nerdy enough to have actual hardware with the actual hacks available so you can back up your BIOSes yourself, right? I get that. For them to write this now it definitely is like the lawyers told them to write this, okay? This is like gun pressed to your head. In particular, we've been deeply disappointed when users have used our software to leak game content prior to its release and ruined the experience for legitimate purchasers and fans. So, to give you another bit of context, a lot of this was centered around Tears of the Kingdom. This game leaked, I want to say, 2 weeks before it actually launched on 4chan. Somebody in the distribution chain for the physical copies grabbed a hold of a copy of this game, went to their hacked Switch, dumped the cartridge onto the internet, and then people could download the cartridge and just plug it into these emulators. Now, at the time, this is a very key piece of context. Neither Yuzu, and I believe the Ryujinx developers, actually developed the emulator at the time to allow Tears of the Kingdom to run. This game would not run day one on an emulator. It did, however, work before the release date on an emulator when other people made patches and mods that you could then put into the emulator. Totally out of the control of the developers for this emulator and whatnot. So that's the context I wanted to provide. We have come to the decision that we cannot allow this to occur. Piracy was never our intention, and we believe that piracy of video games and on video game consoles should end. Effective today, we'll be pulling all of our code repositories online, discontinuing our Patreon accounts and Discord servers, and soon shutting down our websites. We hope our actions will be a small step towards ending piracy of all creators' works. So yeah, it's another bullshit statement that they had to give because the lawyers, alongside taking $2.4 million in a settlement against these guys, they obviously most likely wanted them to say these cute words, so to speak. And I want to stress that no matter what, even with a settlement like this, because they're going after the LLC, I actually don't believe that Nintendo is imagining they're going to get any money out of this. What I assume will most likely happen is the Yuzu developers will, declare bankruptcy, and from what I understand, at least it may not fall back onto them on a personal basis, which may be the only saving grace for them. And on the topic of, obviously Patreon, yes, this emulator did in fact use Patreon, and they did have early access builds locked behind, but it wasn't like, hey, here's early access, by the way, here's some extra patches for this game that hasn't been released. From my understanding, everything in the early access would always down trickle to the actual main branch that people can freely distribute, compile, and, modify themselves. Now, obviously, Nintendo did mention the Patreon, and this is a factor as well, too, and I think it's one of the reasons why the other Nintendo Switch emulator, Ryujinx, may not have actually been hit. I do primarily think they're mostly mad about the fact that BIOS keys are being dumped and guides are being written, but the Patreon, obviously, enriching yourself off of emulator work, which, again, if you ask me personally, this is incredibly difficult levels of software programming. I don't personally find anything wrong with enriching yourself by developing your own emulator, raising some money via Patreon. But clearly for Nintendo, aside from the piracy argument, seeing a few people make thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a month, building a piece of software that, absolutely, I would say, and we can't be bad faith here, people did use to pirate copies of video games. But ultimately, and I do maintain this, these are tools that have a really positive effect on game and hardware preservation decades down the road. Now, I've got the entire here, the final judgment, and of course this was settled out of court, and the reason why this didn't go to court, and in my understanding, is because emulation and the tech behind it was potentially on the line legally in the United States. Remember, the way a lot of these laws work is you can set really good precedents or you can set really bad precedents. And a bad precedent would have been is if you couldn't allow emulators that can use BIOS files or bypass technological measures in order to use something like Yuzu. If that was the case and that was actually codified in the law, it would be pretty bad. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I highly recommend you watch a lawyer's analysis if they do cover a topic like this. I'm just an engineer at the end of the day. So here, let's go down and do it. So what they did was they mentioned how Yuzu, a video game emulator, circumvents the technological measures and allows for the play of encrypted Nintendo Switch games on devices other than a Nintendo Switch. For example, Yuzu executes code that decrypts Nintendo Switch video games, including component files, immediately before and during runtime using unauthorized copies of Nintendo Switch cryptographic keys. So for Nintendo, the argument here was the emulator is wrong because the keys that you would be required for the emulator are 100% illegal to obtain. You actually have to bypass their measures in order to get them, which is actually true in what Nintendo is saying. Now, again, legally these things can all be true. Ethically and morally, obviously I disagree, as do many others. See, I think when you buy a piece of hardware, it fucking belongs to you, as a game does. So if I buy a Nintendo product, and remember, this is how much I don't use Nintendo devices. This is a Switch. I'm going to hit the power button in front of you guys like a million times does not power on whatsoever. This thing is straight dead. And do I give a fuck about plugging it in? No. When I have something like the Steam Deck, an objectively better device, this thing can keep collecting dust for all I care. Look, at the end of the day, all right, what it comes down to is, yes, Nintendo is technically right. Legally, they might be in the right. I would maybe if you went with this definition. And again, reverse engineering and bypassing DRM and, you know, any technologies like that is legally hazy, all right? There are weird precedents and they can go either or. And when I say this is complicated, I've made videos where I've talked about emulation law and specifically reverse engineering and circumventing technological measures. It's unclear, at least to me, and it is hazy what kind of technological measures are protected, exactly what you're doing, fair use, and a lot of these other things are basically applied. Look, the DMCA is an old, tired piece of legislation. And when it comes to digital rights management and reverse engineering and bypassing measures that are used at the end of the day to create archival copies or preservations of pieces of hardware and software, these are things that they still need to go to court in order to actually solidify. A lot of the precedents that we keep listing are literally back in the days of Accolade, Sega, early Nintendo. And this is where, like, again, if this case was to go to a court and Nintendo would actually get something solidified where they could say, yeah, if you're using emulation software which is requiring a BIOS that is 100% illegally obtained according to them, that could set a really terrible precedent. And again, nobody expects an emulator developer to go up against a multi-billion-dollar company, right? It's like, imagine if RPCS3 started getting lawsuit threats by Sony. You can, in all rationality, expect them to go up against Sony, who, if they lose, if Sony Legal can actually make solid cases and change the way case law is determined around the subject, could dramatically affect the landscape of emulation we know of today. This is the kind of weird world that we're into. So that's why settlements like this tend to happen, and in some cases, they may be the best possible route. Look, at the end of the day, Yuzu is shut down. But because this is an open source project, the files are still floating around. There's plenty of forks still available. And even if you can't use Yuzu, let's say that Yuzu is going to be scorched earth off of the internet, then you have Ryujinx and at least other projects that, for now, Nintendo hasn't touched. The fact that this doesn't add to like any case law or any precedent is, I guess, the only silver lining in the situation. It really does feel that in Nintendo's eyes, Yuzu and the fact that they made money through their Patreon, the fact that they taught people explicitly how to get those Switch keys is what they were most angry about. And maybe they're preparing for the new Pokemon game, the Swan Song Switch title. Maybe they want to get rid of as much possible piracy that they feel is going to happen. And this isn't obviously discounting the fact that Nintendo Switch mod chips are still alive and well, and people with first-generation Switches, no matter how much Nintendo wants to patch the Switch firmware, those people are always going to have modified Switches with access. Nintendo may legally be in the right, but ethically and morally, I do personally believe that when it comes to your hardware, when you've bought it, you should be allowed to modify and do whatever you want with it, okay? Provided you're not ruining the experience of other people or you're distributing illegal, like, you know, copies of games, right? Like if you were hacking a Switch to dump Tears of the Kingdom and then distribute it to people online, that's obviously wrong. We all can agree on that. When you're, you know, hacking this device to, you know, cheat online, you know, against multiplayer sessions, that's obviously wrong. But again, if you modify it so you own and you can dump your own games, I think that's a far cry different than anything else. Again, you know, for people who say this is only used for piracy, again, I'm sure that there's people that pirate software, okay, through this stuff. But from my personal belief, I really do care about the preservation angle. I know that there are fanboys who probably hate me for fucking going against Nintendo here, but look, I bought these games, okay? I bought Tears of the Kingdom. I've bought, like, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I have a whole slew of Switch games that I've bought. I buy them, I dump them, I put them on my Steam Deck, and I play them that way, okay? I think the experience is better. I have a save tool that allows me to carry my save wirelessly back and forth between my PC and my deck, so I can play a bit of Tears of the Kingdom on this, and then it auto-syncs to my computer so I can play Tears of the Kingdom on my big screen, 4K, you know, 60 frames a second, best of both worlds, right? Anyways, to go back to this lawsuit. The court further orders, upon Nintendo's election and to the extent controlled by defendants, the destruction by deletion of all circumvention devices, including all copies of Yuzu, all circumvention tools used for developing or using Yuzu, such as Tegra RCM GUI, Hecate Atmosphere, Lockpick RCM, ND Dump Tool, NX Dump Fuse, and Tegra Explorer. So all copies of Nintendo's cryptographic keys and production keys. So yeah, they're also listing all the software you would need in order to get those keys that you could then use underneath Yuzu. So again, what had happened during this, and what I really think Nintendo was going after, was obviously Yuzu having a guide to teach people how to do this. You know, a monkey could pick up a hackable Nintendo Switch, follow the guide, and have their production keys in, I would say, 30 minutes or less. Now, it's wild, too, where I think, man, what are they going to do? Are they going to target, like, YouTubers? Like, there's people like Linus Tech Tips, 2.6 million viewed video, "Take this down, Nintendo, I dare you," where he not only shows you the entire process of, like, dumping your actual jailbreak, pulling the games off of it, and then also setting those same games up on a Steam Deck, a device I would consider a direct competitor to the actual, like, Nintendo product. Now, I'm not here wanting Linus to actually get hit. At the end of the day, I understand why he made this. He also has the same understanding of ethics in regards to owning your hardware and basically doing whatever you want with it. But Nintendo, if they're taking down an emulator, they might even think of taking down YouTubers as well, too. So if you're somebody that's making this kind of content, I would strongly reconsider Nintendo stuff. It's one of the reasons why whenever I talked about Yuzu or like emulating Nintendo stuff, I would literally try not to use Nintendo games. Just because I know that's giving their legal team a little inch, a mile, so-called, whatever you want to say. And that's why I'd always stay away from Nintendo stuff personally, because I know my stance on emulation and game preservation, and it obviously does not align with whatever the fuck Nintendo wants, okay? Now, there are other emulators out there, like Ryujinx, for instance, which is another Nintendo Switch emulator that is also pretty mature. You can play a lot of games on this right now. As of today, it's still actually functioning. But I am worried about this emulator too. If you go to their guide, it says, hey, we've already assumed you've hacked your Switch and dumped your Switch keys. This link actually reads to a little wiki on their own GitHub repository where they go through the same spiel that Yuzu ended up actually getting sued for. So to be honest with you, I really, really hope these companies start removing this kind of stuff, because clearly you just can't have instructions on how to bypass technological measures. So, you know, yeah, Nintendo took down one of the most important pieces of tool in preservation. And look, at the end of the day, it is preservation. At some point, the Switch is going to be as old as the Super Nintendo, the PS1, and games like Tears of the Kingdom are going to be as old as games like Ocarina of Time are today. You know, at some point, 20 years down the road, you probably do want to play these games and have access to them without the dependency of big corporate gaming companies. You know, there's a lot of companies like Sony that outright forget entire libraries of video games, right? Like, you know, you can play Metal Gear Solid 4 on official PlayStation stuff currently on the market. You might be able to game stream it, but that's not a viable way to ever preserve a video game. You know, it's kind of like if there was a PS5 emulator and Sony shut it down because they're like, it facilitates piracy. And I can understand the argument, but at the end of the day, this stuff is designed, in my opinion, to be preserving pieces of hardware that have a finite lifespan on them. Look, imagine if a game like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, let's say it never got a PC release, and it's stuck entirely on the PS5. Wouldn't you want an emulator?
Gamers, MTash here, and we're going to make a new tier list, but first I want to talk about a few key things. And if you don't watch this at the beginning of the video and you make a comment, you're going to get roasted because you need context. Number one, I am not a damage over time player. I have almost no damage over time characters built. So when I see a tier list like this with Kafka in S+ tier, maybe she is, but I literally have no idea what her damage potential is or how easy she can clear content. So when I'm making my tier list, I may follow along and say, apparently she's really good, but I truly don't know, and I cannot decide for myself. As for a lot of the other characters, whether they're support or DPS, I've built a large majority of them. But because this is a gacha game that I refuse to spend too much in, there are a few characters that I have limited usage of, and I will try to make that known. However, I do have a secondary account where I've built Hua Hua, I've built Argenti, I've built Jingliu, and so I do have a pretty good idea of what everyone in the game does to their nearly full potential, alright? So let's get started. I want to go over the Pride Win tier list first. This is a pretty good tool. I don't care if you disagree or you think someone should be moved up one point or another. They do some pretty decent calculations overall. They go through, they look at the multipliers, and they put in some effort here. They're not just pulling these numbers out of a hat. They do these statistics based on how much damage they'll do, and they do some calculations, and it's not going to be perfect. But it's probably good enough for what you need. This game is not hard enough for it to matter that much. So, when you see these tier lists and you see people moving up and moving down, it's probably good enough. So at the end of the day, will my tier list be different than this? Maybe slightly, because there's one thing that tier lists don't account, and I do care about. That's the feels. The feel crafting. Is a character easy to use? Is that character easy to build? Is that character fun to use? All these different things do come into play. So there may be someone, and I can already see him on here, Blade is lower than what I would put him because of the feel, because of how easy he is to use, the comfort. Now, there's also Pure Fiction, which is a completely different game mode than Memory of Chaos, and you're going to see very different locations for these people. So I want to do a tier list based on my overall value, how well I think that they clear all content in the game. But again, grain of salt. Like, if I don't put Argenti in the S+ tier, someone's going to go, well, what about Pure Fiction? Well, yeah, okay, that's what he's built for, right? So let's get started. Let's create my own tier list. I'm going to give you a breakdown of pretty much every character and what I think of them, okay? I just want to make sure... Okay, there is Fire MC. So current physical MC is like a C tier unit, or even a D tier unit. I'm sure they're probably better than you would expect, but I'm just gonna put them in the D tier, C tier, like, whatever. Bailu. Okay. Bailu is a necessary evil in the game, in the early game, if you don't have any other healers, but they gave us free healers. They gave us Natasha, and now they gave us Lynx. The value of Bailu is not that great. She is pretty darn bad when you look at the free units you can get. But she is a good healer. I'm going to put Bailu in, like, the B tier. I'm going to put her in the B tier because, like, if you want a bunch of healing, she can keep your team alive. And if you don't have a tank unit, hypothetically, you could just put Bailu with, you know, Lynx or someone, and you'll live. You won't die. So, whatever. She's somewhere in the B tier. But is what it is. As for Bronya, she is an SS tier unit in my opinion. She cleanses, which is very valuable and can save runs, but the biggest thing is she pushes up your turn meter. She can be used with every DPS in the game. She provides a crit damage bonus. Bronya is a god tier unit. If you get her on the 50-50 loss, it's actually kind of a 50-50 win in some cases. She's so good. I'm a very big fan. That being said, I do think that Sparkle, the newest champion, might be power creeping her, so like maybe she's S tier. But she's very good. I'm going to put her in the S tier for right now, because I think she is amazing. But there's also situations where I've personally felt that Ting Yun, especially with Eidolons, is actually better for me. Might not be for everyone, but depending on the speeds that you have, I think that Bronya gets more value when your account is further along and you can speed tune properly, most likely. But I'm going to put her in the S tier for me. Clara. I think that Clara is a unit that I haven't built enough, but I can see her potential. And I can see some situations, like Pure Fiction right now, where she's SSS tier. Like, she's just amazing. I think there's some situation where she's an S tier, but I think she's just like a safe A tier unit for me, who doesn't get enough love. So I'm gonna leave her in A tier. Gepard, I think is like an A tier unit overall. Definitely can have some S tier moments with his shielding, but I haven't built him fully and like seen him in the end game. I feel like there's some downtime in survivability. depending on energy recharge and how much he gets attacked, all these things. I'm gonna put him in the A tier for right now. I would rather have Clara than him, personally. He's even potentially in the B tier, but I'll put him in the A tier because like the best functioning one is maybe A tier, and a bad functioning one is maybe in the B tier. So I don't know. This one's tough for me. This one's really tough. I think the issue, I'll tell you what the issue is, and let me explain this right after, so hopefully people see this part of the video. Here is the issue. Where are you? Where is that little healer? Quantum, 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 quantum. Where's the quantum healer? Lynx. Here's the issue, is like, Lynx is a free unit, and like, I think that she functions better than Gepard in some situations to keep your team alive and safe, like from the get-go. I don't know, I have a hard time with him when she exists, because he is a 5-star, and I would rather just have other 5-star units. So I think I'm gonna put it in the B tier for now. Lynx is a very good unit with Eidolons. I honestly think she's like so good, but she is a 4-star unit. I'm gonna put her in the A tier, but I'm gonna put her in like the high A tier. For overall like value at the beginning of the game, I think Lynx is actually a game changer. I'm sorry, but I love Lynx. I know people might not agree. If we look at like Pride win, I'm sure it's gonna be different, but I really love Lynx. I think she's so good because she's free and she can cleanse. Ting Yun, I'm gonna put her in the S tier, and she's gonna be by Bronya. I don't know who is going to be higher on the tier list. I think they're both cracked. There's some situations where Ting Yun is the better choice because the energy is crazy. So, I really like Ting Yun. And she's more accessible. So for me, I'm going to put her higher than Bronya. I think she is better. There's situations where she's like up there. But I'm going to put her right there. Maybe. She's pretty good. She's pretty good. I'll just put her there. I think I'm only going to put like one unit in the SS tier. Welt, I think, is like an A tier unit, but I'm finding more and more situations where he just isn't quite optimal. The slow and everything is good. The debuffs are fine. He is good, but I just don't think he's like crazy in a lot of situations. Maybe he's like up here, like he's still like a good A tier unit, but there's lots of situations where he doesn't feel like he's the optimal choice for me. So I like him a lot, but whatever. Himiko. I think Himiko is, especially in the modern day, I hate to say it, I'm putting Himiko high A tier. Because, Pure Fiction is a part of the game, and she makes it easier to clear Pure Fiction. So if I look at overall value on the account, I think that Himiko is like a high A tier unit. I think she's a very good high A tier unit. So, I'm gonna go with that. Yang Qing, I'm gonna put in like the B tier. He can hit really hard. Like, it's not his damage necessarily. It's just, I think there's just better DPS units out there. And his passive is very easy to lose and lose some of the value that he has. And so I'm going to put him in, like, the B tier. I think I would rather have Gepard over him. I think I would rather almost have Bailu over him. But I think I'm going to put him there because I just think there's so many good healing units in the game and sustain choices. I think I'd rather have him just for the memes and for the fun. But I don't know. I think a well-built one can dish out crazy damage and people just meme on him. I don't think he's as bad as people say. I think Asta is like a low A tier unit when built properly. I just don't use her a lot. I could see her being high B as well because I just don't feel like she's the optimal choice in a lot of my teams. I might hover her here, but there's also like speedrun stuff where she's like very popular. I might put her low A because I think she's pretty good, but we'll see. Arlen, I'm gonna put him in the C tier. He's got a health mechanic that I just don't like. I think you could build him if you get Eidolons, but I'm just not a big fan. Dan Hung is probably like a B tier unit, or no, his damage is actually pretty crazy. He's somewhere in here, but he's, you know, as a free unit, like he's somewhere in there. But again, I think we've just got better choices, and like I don't know. I think we're at the stage in the game where there's so many good 5-star DPS units that it's hard for me to recommend building Dan Hung. I'm sorry. I just can't. Can't recommend it at this moment in time. He's fine, but I just think that he's like, even though he hits hard, I just don't think he's amazing. Herda. I think Herda is an A, or she's kind of like the same as Himiko. I'm honestly gonna put her value up because if you want to spam and clear Pure Fiction, she's busted. Like she's a free unit you get with all the Eidolons. She's busted for Pure Fiction, but I think in other content she's not as good, so I'm gonna put her like down here, low A. But for Pure Fiction, she's like S tier. But I'm gonna put her lower down because I think overall value on the team, there's more situations where Asta would be more valuable, and also Clara, like I don't know, Clara is just, I'd rather have her. Hook, I'm gonna put her in the. I'm gonna put her in the B tier. As a single target fire unit, she's all right. Nah, she's fine. Honestly, I'm gonna put all these units down here. I'll tell you why. I don't want to bait you into building one. I just don't think it's necessary. I really don't. Not a DPS. I'm sorry. March 7th. I'm gonna put her in the B tier as a sustaining unit. I can understand she's A tier, but I don't know. I think there's usages for her, but I think there's just better choices now. Natasha, I think as well. Early game, back in the day, she was like A tier. I think she's like I think she's better than Bailu in some cases. I'm gonna put her in the B tier, high B tier. Pela is an S tier unit. I know. I'll tell you why she's an S tier unit. Pela is an S tier unit because she's one of the only units in the game that can strip a buff. And in some cases, the buffs can be very powerful. So stripping buffs is a unique thing to her. She also has an AoE defense down. And defense down is an insanely good buff. She's very energy efficient and skill point efficient. And it's very easy to build her. She's an S tier unit because she is just so accessible. And you don't really need Eidolons for her at all. She just functions from day one. Builder. I would recommend everyone build a copy of her. She carried my other account so much. Big fan. QQ. QQ with Eidolons is an S tier unit. QQ without Eidolons is not an S tier unit. I'm going to put her in the S tier. I'm just going to assume everyone here has Eidolons, I think, is what I'm going to do. QQ is an S tier unit, but I'm going to put her lower down because you need Eidolons. And not everyone's going to have Eidolons. So I'm going to leave her there, and we'll move it around. Dot characters. Damage over time characters. I am not even going to put them on the list. Actually, or do I just listen to Pridewin? I don't know what to do about dot characters. Maybe I'll circle back. I'll think about what to do. I'm going to think about what to do for the dot characters because I've never really built them. I'm going to put Serval in like the B tier. She's fine, but I just don't know if there's a lot of places for her. She's okay, Erudition, but like I don't know. I don't know. If you have E6 Serval, is she worth A tier? Probably not. Probably like a B tier. Probably like a B tier unit. And for Dot, like I just don't think there's a place for her. I'll put her in the B tier. Even that C tier, honestly. High C tier. I'd rather have Serval than some of them, but whatever. Fire MC. I think Fire MC gets like trolled on. I don't know. I think Fire MC is like pretty good. I could understand being in the B tier though. With some of the new sustains that have come out, I can understand the B tier. But like, I think that the taunt is better than people say. And it's just the shielding isn't amazing. And if you build too much effect res, then you might not be, I don't know, you might be in issues with survivability. I think Fire MC fell off a little bit. But still has a place in my heart. Zila. I think Zila, my Zila is like I tier because she's got 2 Eidolons and a light cone, but a well-built one, like I think mathematically and statistically is worse than QQ. But with the rise of Sparkle, I think there's a rise of Zila. It's really hard for me to place her. But I think she's like a lower tier DPS, and I'm going to put other DPSs higher on the list. So I'm going to leave her in the S tier for sure. There's situations where she thrives, but I think I would not recommend people get her at this moment in time in the current game. Jingyi 1 got a massive buff. I would rather have Zila than Jingyi 1 myself. So I might get in trouble with this. But I think he's still a good unit, especially if you've got Sparkle. But, yeah, I don't know. QQ is never better than Zila? Yes, she is. She's got AoE in a way that can be very good in... There's no way she's above Zila? I don't know about that. The AoE in Pure Fiction is, like, really good. And she can hit really, really hard. I don't know. And this is with Eidolons. QQ is overrated? I don't think she's... I mean, I don't know. I could put her there. I think Jing Yuan is pretty good, though. You want me to do that? Is that better? Is that a better community choice? Alright. We'll do that. QQ is really bad in Pure Fiction? I don't know. I can imagine that your edition is pretty good. Silverwolf. I think Silverwolf is an S tier unit. But I think she is, in some cases, worse than Pela. I think she is more valuable than you might think. And I'll tell you why. Here's the follow-up. This gamer right here. Where are you? Dr. Ratio. I think Dr. Ratio, at least on my account, is a better unit than Zila for me with Silverwolf. Dude, my Dr. Ratio is absolutely crushing content in a way that I just did not expect. He's so busted with my Silverwolf, and I'm a huge fan. I'm just a huge fan. I would recommend everyone build their Dr. Ratio. I think he's crazy. Luocha is an S tier sustain unit. Overall value on the account is like pretty high. I don't know. He's like pretty damn good. But I think he got power corrupt, if I'm being honest with you. But I still think he's a good pickup. I think he's just like in the middle somewhere. Yukong has some potential, but she's like hard to speed tune and get going, and she needs all her Eidolons. I'm gonna put her in the B tier. I'm gonna put her in the low B tier. She has potential, but just doesn't have the usage. All right, here's the one that I do not agree with anyone on. Blade in the A tier. Okay. I understand blade damage might not be the best. Like, blade damage might be here for some people. I do not care what people say. I think blade is absolutely busted. I think blade is so busted in this game. I think he is so comfy to play. I think he is so fun to play. There's no shot he's on S tier. But I do think that Dr. Ratio, for me, might crush content, like harder content. But he's just comfy as hell to play. I think I would put him like middle to high S tier. He is so good in my opinion. Dan Hung. With recent buffs, I would consider him at the top of S tier, maybe even SS tier in some cases. I think Dan Hung is very good as a DPS, especially with Sparkle. I think Sparkle is opening some big doors. So, very good unit. Fu Xuan is an SS tier unit. Is the first SS tier unit, in my opinion. I will explain why. Because she works in every team there's ever been, bro. And I'm only putting like one or two people up here. And honestly, maybe this, maybe with Sparkle. Actually, do you know what? Maybe with Sparkle he is SS tier. The game has changed. I'm going to put him up there. And I'm going to put her up here because of her allowance of the skill points. I'm going to put her up here. Maybe higher up than him, but not as high as Fu Xuan. I think Fu Xuan is the best character in the game. And then I think Jing Liu is the best DPS in the game because she's so easy to use, bro. She's got such AoE. She's just such a brain-dead good unit that it's hard not to put her there. That's what I think. Now, this is gonna shock and awe people. I think Huahua is way better than Luocha. I mean, not like way better. I think Huahua is cracked, bro. I think she is absolutely gross tier. I think she's so valuable with her energy recharge and her cleansing and her healing, and I love Huahua. I'm a very big fan of Huahua. I think she's on my other account. I just didn't know how good she was, but she is like very high tier for me. Overall, super good unit. Argenti, I can understand being in the A tier in some content, but I can also understand him being in the S tier. I think if I look at him overall, I'm gonna put him in the S tier. And I think I would rather have him than, I think I'd rather have him than Jing Yuan, but I still do like my Zila. I'm going to put Argenti in the S tier because he can hit really hard, and I don't know, I think he just fills some gaps in the physical roster. So I'm going to put him up there. I know that people might not like it, but I like him. I like him quite a bit. I have him on my other account, and he carries. Ruin Mei is an SS tier unit. If I'm putting a unit up here, like, I almost want to do that because I'm biased. I almost want to do that. Anyone that's in this SS tier, if you don't have them on your account, it's like a very high consider getting unit because they work in so many teams. They're so good. Ruin Mei is up here, and I think Ruin Mei is like this. Ruin Mei might be like this. Is Ruin Mei better than Sparkle? Yes. Because she works in more teams and will work in more teams. Ruin Mei is better than Sparkle. I think Fu Xuan is better because I can support my units with other units, but no one does what Fu Xuan does as good, in my opinion. I think Ruin Mei is like the second best unit in the game. I think Hanya is like one of those units that can be up here. I think she's really good. I like Hanya if you don't have Sparkle quite a bit. The value she brings, like, I don't know, dude. I think she's like pretty good. But at the same time, are you gonna have multiple copies of her? I'm gonna put her in the low A tier. Because my Hanya was a game changer for my account. But then I look at just like Sparkle, and it's like, why would you build two? And so then I'm like, she's like a B tier unit because it's just there's just a way better option. So it's like I don't want you to waste resources building her. Do you know what I mean? But I do think she's good. I think she's surprisingly good. But is she better than Japard? No. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna put it there. I don't mind that. And now we're getting into territory where it's leaks or we don't know, or just some like fillers. Like this chick is like somewhere in here. I don't know. She's like a B tier unit for me. And now we got a lot of dot units. This is like another like DPS I can't recommend, but like potentially is good. This is like a interesting one, hard to build. I think like I don't know, like a B tier unit, like if built well, but I just think it's like niche. I don't know. I don't know where to put her, bro. I don't know where to put her. I have no idea. And then now we got all these different units. So let's get started with the ones that I know of. I think Topaz is either high A or she's in the S tier. Because everyone gets Dr. Ratio and she's kind of crazy and she's kind of like the Kafka of follow-up. So if you've got Dr. Ratio, if you've got, you know, follow-up units, she's just more valuable. But if you don't have any that you want to build or they're not your favorite type, I don't know. I think I'm gonna put her in this tier list here somewhere. I think just because she's like depends on your who you're using, she's not as good. But I think she can be an S tier unit, and there's gonna be more follow up units in the future. So I think she's gonna be an S tier for me, personally. And then here's the tough stuff: is all these dot characters and then other leaked characters. So I have a hard time placing them, and I need like a whole disclaimer here of like I don't know where to put them exactly. Because I just haven't built them. Now, if we go off Pride Win, tier lists, yeah, like they're putting Kafka in like S+ tier, and that makes sense because she's like the only person that does what she does. So this makes sense. Kafka is a dot enabler. I'm gonna put all the dot units at the end though, because I just haven't built them. So Kafka is gonna be an SS tier unit because she's an enabler. But Black Swan, like, she is good. Like, she's like up here. I get it, but I don't know. Obviously, she's up here, and people are gonna get confused. But I'm just gonna put her there. But she is good. She's a very good. She's like the damage dealer of Dot. And then let's see what Pridewood did for everything else. A tier for them. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Sure. Somewhere in the A tier. Is she in the A tier? I'm just gonna put all of them in the A tier. They're just like good. I thought Gwynifen would be higher. Maybe she's not as valuable as I thought. Maybe because Burn isn't as good, but I like Gwynifen. I'm gonna put her in the A tier. I think she's also gonna go in the A tier for me because she can work with Dr. Ratio if you have Eidolons. So I like Gwynifen. So again, this is my biased tier list. I've rated some people higher because I think they're more valuable. But let's just explain this. If you don't have the S tier units, other than her, because she's in her own category of Dot, if you want Dot, she's a must-have. If you don't play Dot, then you don't want her at all, which is like me. If you don't have any of these units, they're probably going to be a crazy pickup for your account. As for the S tier, like, I could move any of these up here realistically. A lot of them are crazy overall value on your account. But the more units of a particular type you have, the less value people get. So let me explain. If I have Fushuan and I have Huahua, Luocha is starting to lose value because I've got two really good, like, kind of sustaining units for my account. Do I need a third one? Right? If I've got Ruin Mei and I've got Sparkle and I've got a E6 Tingyun, do I need to build my Bronya? Do I need to start building some of these other supports? And that's where you need to look at your account. Is where are you right now? Same thing goes with DPS. If you've already got multiple DPS, like, think about it this way. You already have a god tier imaginary unit in the game. So everyone has one element, Dr. Ratio, covered. And so if you have Dr. Ratio, you have Blade, you have Jing Liu, you've got like 3 major elements covered. And so you need to start looking at maybe other elemental coverage or other DPS units. But you have to look at your own account and judge and take everything I say with a grain of salt. And there's going to be situations where all these units thrive. Right now, in Pure Fiction, I think that Dr. Ratio, even though he's a follow-up unit, he didn't feel good. He didn't feel as strong. So, there's going to be situations where they just don't thrive the way you could. So, this is how I'm feeling at this moment in time. I think the only one I would move is maybe Huahua. I think I would maybe move her up here. Maybe I would move her up there. Or like just like really high S tier. I just think you can get by with other healing and cleansing. And like these support units are just so universally good that can make you blow up things that you don't need to heal. You know what I mean? So I think this is where I'm at. I think this is where I'm sitting overall. Again, look at the other tier lists. Look at their recommendations for Pure Fiction, which are going to be different. Look at MOC. And if you're just curious, well, why is that character rated so highly? Is just like click on a character and just look through their kit, understand their teams. There's lots of breakdowns of like what's approximately good. And this is more than enough information to give you a fighting chance in any content in the game. So that's where I'm at right now. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this helped. And if you disagree, let me know. Put it in the comment section down below. Maybe we change it up, make a community tier list. But That's where I'm at. Bye-bye.
Why everyone hates Tectone. Made by my... What is this? Made by my daughter? Made by my daughter, Hex Juice? What the f is this video, bro? Why did you make this? What is this? Bald equals bad? Okay, here we go. Let's find out why everybody hates me. Let me preface this beforehand. I don't give a f. All right, let's continue.
To my lecture, my name is Hex_Juice.
Yeah.
The foremost in Tectone D-writing, C-sucking, clout chaser, drama extraordinaire. That's me. I promise you, if you don't like...
Hey, you want to know how you beat? You want to know how you beat people who try to weaponize the term dick riders against you? You just say, yep. I had a homie. His name is Zizix Prime. And he was accused that he was a dick rider of me and that he must love me. And so you know what he said? Hell yeah. I love that motherfucker. And you know what's crazy? Ain't nobody ever bring that shit up ever again. Straight up. Ain't nobody ever bring that shit up again. When these people make up these terms like dick rider, right? And you allow that shit to affect you, to control who you do and who you don't interact with, who you do have the back of online and who you don't, well then, I'm sorry, bro, you're just weak. You do not let these terms have strength. Okay, because when you let these terms have strength, they're going to be used against you in perpetuity. So the moment somebody insults you with a word they think's going to immediately correct your behavior, you just don't. You just say, yeah, it's true. Yeah, I am a dick rider. Yeah, I do love this mother. Okay, what's the problem?
Like Tectone and you clicked on this video because you just don't like Tectone so much, I swear you're gonna learn something.
Okay.
I swear. I pinky swear it. I sweir. And if you do like Tectone, you'll also learn something. But we're gonna talk about why everybody hates Tectone, in my opinion, to me, for me. Therapeutic perspective.
Sure. Also, fun fact, I have a rule with all of my homies where if they ever break a pinky promise, I never talk to them ever again. It's a really good mechanic to have in your friendships and your relationships. So that way, when you need to trust someone, you just do a pinky promise. And I mean this genuinely. If anybody ever breaks a pinky promise, you just never talk to them again. It's very good for people with paranoia to know that you have that one thing that you trust. And then if they break that trust, that sacred bond, then just never talk to them ever again. It's great. It works.
Perspective.
But you only use it for very serious things. Like very, very, very serious things.
Drama farming, obviously. Causing problems, obviously. And Tectone, if you're watching,
Yeah.
you're bald.
True.
You're bald.
Yep.
So, obviously.
You know why I like being bald? It's like having a third dick, right? I like spreading holes open and shoving my head in. It's like I'm an excavator, right? If you've never had sex with a bald man, bro, you're missing out. That shit's crazy.
Reasons why people hate Tectone. Bald.
Yep.
Egg.
Yep.
Loud.
Yep.
Annoying.
Oh, I feel so sick.
Mean. Rich. White.
That's a big one.
Obnoxious.
Please don't do this to me. Please.
Last one would be male privilege. Pervert. Degen. Yeah, degen.
There you
All
go.
right. These are the obvious reasons why.
Let me rephrase. Let me tell you what degen means. That means that people don't like you because you're attracted to females as a male. But if you're a woman and you're attracted to a woman, oh, yes, queen, go. If you're a gay dude and you like dudes, oh, yes, king, go. But if you're a straight man who likes women, oh, man. Now that's a problem. Oh, I know, man. Man.
Everybody hates Tectone. When I first asked him what he thought, his reaction was, because I'm a white man in Gotcha,
True.
obviously. I think that's a really fun content creator joking reason to say that. For an ads? God damn it.
I mean, let's keep it 100%. If there was anybody who wants to deny that I am overly hated for being white in the gotcha space, I recommend you watch my Why I Hate Arknights videos, where the community managers of Arknights themselves said, don't support Tectone because he's white, support our other Asian creators. If you don't think there's a very clear negative agenda against white people in the gotcha space, you are completely out of touch. Genuinely. Okay? Like, let's just keep it 100%. Okay?
Anyway, these are easy reasons to hate anyone. Being bald, loud, and mean is an easy thing to point at and say, I don't like him because he seems very rude and gross. Here's my point here. People get really caught up.
I would like to make it very clear. I don't seem very rude. I am rude. Society's definition of rude, which is essentially saying the things that need to be said, right? People would consider that rude. So sure, I would understand if somebody were to call me rude due to society's definition 100%.
Up in surface level shit about why people don't like Tectone. There's obviously been a lot of controversy around my mans. We can be real about that.
And let me tell you why there's controversy, okay? It's not because of me. It's that when I see something wrong, I need to correct it. Okay, that's another horrible trait that I have. I mean, let's be real. I've spent the past 2 years trying to fix Genshin Impact, a game that I don't even play. But when I see the mistreatment of people, the mistreatment of players, it irritates the shit out of me.
Tectone is a difficult person for a lot of people. If you are somebody who values like kind of peace and sanity and getting along with everybody, you're obviously not going to like Tectone.
Where's the lie?
Oh.
And I'll be real, okay? I don't with fake relationships, okay? I don't with acting cordial around shitty people, okay? I don't. Now, I'll do that in real life, but on the internet, okay, like, you know, if I'm at TwitchCon, I'm not going to come up and break your arm. But on the internet, if someone's a piece of shit, I'm sorry, bro. I'm going to make it perfectly clear that they're a piece of shit.
Oh, ugly. You're right. We forgot ugly, guys. We forgot ugly. There's a lot of very easy surface reasons to dislike Tectone, but I want to talk about something in particular that I think is a base reason. There is a certain quality that Tectone has where people don't really have to know him. People don't really have to experience him at all. They will just hate him. Like, Tectone has this energy that just kind of pisses people off.
True.
Does anybody kind of get that? Because I definitely do. As a fan and like somebody who likes Tectone, I see that. I think there's something about Tectone, and I see this even as somebody who does like his energy, where something about Tectone makes people froth. Because I will say, as a content creator, that
it's because confidence. Confidence drives people insane. Being proud these days is being the same as being a narcissist in society's eyes. People want you to be uncomfortable with who you are. People want you to feel bad about yourself. People want you to be self-conscious. And when they see that you're not, it really makes them angry because they're self-conscious and they don't like themselves. So when they see people that do like themselves, it irritates the shit out of them. It genuinely does. It really, really, really does. People want others to live in sympathy. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is associated with Tectone now, that people
really want content creators to derive their self-worth off of what their chat and what the community says. But the thing is, when people get their confidence from within, then it doesn't matter anymore, right? So you're not looking for anyone for approval because you've already approved yourself. And I'll be real, I hope everyone in chat takes that advice to their heart, right? Like, if you are happy with who you are, then no one can put you down. Right, and it's very good. Like, you should find things that you love about yourself, and you should appreciate those things. Anyways, any Feel Strongman claps?
He'll literally click on a video because his face is in it, won't watch the video, and just shit on him. Just shit on him, shit on me for liking him, shit on me for agreeing with him. Won't even know what the video was. People literally, like, have this sort of unhinged reaction to how much they hate him.
Now, I will say, I think a lot of this is in the past. Genuinely, I think a lot of this is in the past. I think a lot of people are coming around, right? Since we've cleared up all the bullshit from the Genshin community, since we've cleared up the bullshit with Envy and Atsu, I think a lot of people have come around. I'm very happy about that. Because a lot of people gave me an additional chance and they realized, oh, wait, I hated this guy for a reason that didn't exist for years, which feels great. If you see Tekken for the first time, you think he's the most annoying piece of shit, but he's the opposite of that. Oh, guys, what do you think?
Because I've said this before, but there's a certain amount of me that did not want to believe when Tectone would talk about how people dislike him, like how awful people are, like how crazy people are about disliking him. There's a part of me that genuinely, in my heart, I wanted to believe that that was not true. I get comments about Tectone regularly saying things like they can't wait for the day that Tectone is found out to have CP, being racist, or grooming a minor, so that they can come back to my videos defending him and shove it in my face what a weird creep he is. Like, that's the level to which people hate him. What that means to me is I don't have a good reason that
Racist? Man, I pulled Sparkle day one. Hey, adventurine, bro. Homeboy, bro. He's mid as. Where my Sparkle mains at, boys? Where's Sparkle Slur Sundays? When they coming back? What's going on? What's going on with my girl Sparkle?
That I can point to for why I hate this person so much, but I need something as severe as having child victims to justify the level of hatred I have for this person, because I don't have a good reason to put in this comment. So I hope that there is actual like child victims so I can justify how much I hate this person.
Here, I'll give you a reason to hate me. When I was a kid, I used to set shit on fire, and I wrote homeboy's name in the death note, and his ass died the next day. Right, so what I'm saying is I'm light Yagami. Okay, so I think that's a good enough reason to hate me. I think that's good. Hopefully that helps.
That's a weird, unhinged, worrisome reaction to just about anything. People literally will say the craziest stuff about him forever. And there's a lot of people who are disliked, a lot of content creators who are disliked, but that don't seem to have the same level of vitriol for the things that Tectone has actually done.
Hold up, that's a good word. That's a good word. Let's Google that. Vitriol. Cruel and bitter criticism. I like that. We're gonna yoink that one. I always heard that word, never knew what it meant. I like that. There's another word. Oh yeah, dystopian. It's another great word. Relating to or denoting an imagined state of society where there is great suffering or injustice. A person who imagines or foresees a state of society where there's great suffering or injustice. I like that. Those are good ass words, man. Add those to your vocabulary, chat. You're learning. Vitriol, dystopian, words of the days.
I've always found like the level of like what he did and the level of hate to be kind of like the scale is weird. And so
oh, dude, I 1,000,000% agree. I mean, there's some guy, once again, Guoba certified. Here's another great content creator that comes to mind. Dude was talking a lot of shit. Okay? Dude was talking hella shit. Bro gets called out for it. He admits that he did it. Didn't even do it once. Did it twice. Gets called out twice for the same thing. Nobody cares. People moved on within 24 hours. I get called out for shit-talking Tenha in Atsu's DMs, and it never happened, but that was still held against me for 2 years. I get accused of shit-talking Dreamy in their DMs. I disprove that that has happened, and it still gets held over me for 3 years. It's insane. Maybe if I made like a PNG avatar of me being like a egg, people would hop the off my dick. Well, actually, you know what? Stay on it. Anyways.
So what I want to talk about is like, I think that there's something that gets under gets under people's skin about Tectone. That is not just that he is loud and—
Why do I feel like MTash is gonna make a video on this video and talk about why I'm an evil man? Why do I feel like MTash is once again gonna explain my quote-unquote problematic behavior in this community, when in reality the entirety is MTash is Canadian and he doesn't understand that I'm American? And that's just what it comes down to, brother. Okay, I'm just a red-blooded American. Okay, and we handle things a little bit different than we do up in America's hat. All right, so why don't we simmer down there, MTash? Why don't we simmer down?
And ugly and bald and obnoxious and mean, okay? Because he is all of those things. He most certainly is.
Sure.
He most certainly is.
Sure.
But there's something that, I think it is the thing that gets under people's skin about Tectone very often. And B, I also think it's the thing that makes him resilient to the level of hatred that—
I'm gonna keep it 100%. This is a great video, but God, I just cannot stop staring at her boobs. Like, it is hypnotic. I don't know if that's up to say, but goddamn, man, those things are just, they're enormous. Like, am I alone? Like, good God. Anyways.
That he gets. And that's the thing that I want to talk about today, because I think it is something that will help you be more resilient as well. So I want to talk about this concept called validation.
Okay.
So validation is a concept that I think is misused. The proper therapeutic way that validation is considered in therapy is that when somebody says your feelings are valid, what they're saying is you have a right to feel how you feel.
Sure.
In life, Sometimes your feelings are informed by things that are not currently happening. Sometimes the level of emotion that you have about something or the way that your brain is taking a certain thing that is said or done is based more so in something that happened to you before or a feeling that you've had before or your own insecurity. Okay, I'm going to use envy as an example, mostly because it's...
I am going to say this. I had an experience with a person where this person just like always felt sorry for themselves, always said how hard their life was. And I was trying to help this person quite a lot, you know, and make them fight their own shortcomings head on, right? And I was doing this shit for months. And then one dude comes along and completely feeds into this guy's delusion. And the person was just never the same. All of the progress completely wiped out. They became this completely pathetic human being, and I've never seen them again. And you know what's crazy? Their Twitter feed is still them talking about how miserable they are. Like, there's a big difference in hearing someone out, but when you're feeding into someone else's delusion, like, that's one of the most harmful things you can ever do. Like, you cannot do that. You can't. If someone has a problem, you need to help them with it, not just say, oh, you're right. Everyone's wrong but you, Queen. Oh my God, it's so bad.
It's a good example. And you guys are relatively familiar with that whole thing. So I think...
She had to ask her artist to shrink her boob size? Bro. Why? Damn.
That envy's negative feeling about being called a mint picker is valid. Because he has the right to feel how he feels. His feelings are his own. He deserves to be hurt by things that he finds hurtful, even if we think it's silly. Just because something is valid doesn't make it true. Valid does not mean correct or true. Valid just simply means that you're allowed to feel how you feel. That's it. However, that does not mean that having the level of hurt by being called a name like mint picker is correct or right, and having a panic attack about it is correct or right. The point of validity is that life is not about being right all the time, guys. And if I say to you that your feelings are wrong,
I'm sorry,
even
bro.
if you have
The mint picker jokes will never not be funny to me, man. Like, they will just legit never not be fun to me, bro. Like, that shit will be funny forever for me, man. That shit kills me.
a lot of reasons to be feeling that feeling, you're gonna feel like shit. But if I say, I understand why you feel that way, let's figure out what that is, that's way more validating. So if I went to Tectone and I said, hey, it hurt my feelings when you said that I was a drama farmer because of this reason, and he said, oh man, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings on that. I was joking. It was not my intention. What can I say instead, or what can we do in the future? That's way better than if I said, hey, Tectone, it hurt my feelings when you called me a drama farmer. And then he said, okay, well, I didn't mean to fucking offend you. Seems like you are a little bit too sensitive. Maybe you should get over it. As a friend, if we're talking about a friend or somebody you're close to, right? That's not gonna feel very good. Invalidating feelings and shifting blame is bad.
Makes sense.
If you do not have self-assuredness, self-love, self-respect, if you can't validate yourself, it is going to be extremely difficult to love another person in a way that is going to make you or them feel loved. And I'm not saying you can't, but it is going to be significantly harder, and you're gonna have a lot of hiccups. And I'm saying this from experience, okay? The reality about validation, if you don't have it, is that you are a leaky bucket. You have a leaky bucket of validation.
Oh, this is fun. I love drawings.
If you can't fill your own leaky bucket holes, you're just gonna be spilling out all over the place.
I agree.
How are you gonna fill that self-validation bucket? Is you're probably going to require other people to validate you all the time. People you're going to ask.
What did I say at the beginning of the video? What did I say at the beginning of the video? When you can't validate yourself, you are going to require the praise of other people on the internet because they want to help you fix your bucket. But if your bucket's already fixed, well, then what do they do? If you don't need them to tell you that you're a good person, what do they do, man?
More from people than they can possibly give you. Everybody's gonna have to give you that validation.
I love how pre-watch is being said when it's just not. I'm just very self-aware.
and it's gonna be a really, really tough thing for you and that other person, because if you're constantly requiring validation from other people.
Hold up. Look up covert narcissism. Okay, I'm looking it up. Covert narcissism. A covert narcissism is someone who craves admiration and importance, lacking empathy toward others, but may act in a different way than an overt narcissist. They may exhibit symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, but often hide more obvious signs of the condition. Okay. So who's this? Who's that? What are you trying to say? What's that? How's that relevant? You see that? And then once again, people see someone who has confidence and they say, you're a narcissist. That's crazy, right? That's also what I said at the beginning of the video. So let me ask you a question, guys. How does somebody have confidence and isn't a narcissist? On the internet, ooh, can't do that. Can't do that, bro. Cannot do that. It's what I also said at the beginning of the video. You see a person with confidence, you gotta slap them with the label of, oh, they're a narcissist, they're a bad guy. Shut your mouth. Pussy.
People to feel valid, and you don't have your own source of validation. If you need everybody else to validate.
Here's the other thing that I can disprove covert narcissism. Okay, watch this. Look at this. Hold up. This is big. More introverted. Nope. Reserved. Nope. Passive aggressive. Hell no. I'm full on aggressive. So anybody who thinks that you just got me with that definition, shut the fuck up.
Validate you, but your holes are still leaking. It's not like those things aren't gushing too.
Dumbass.
It's not actually helping. It's a facsimile of actually filling the bucket. Because no matter what you do, until you can fix your bucket and you can fill your own bucket, the validation of other people isn't going to matter, because it's just going to come right out that bucket.
True.
It's just going to come out of those holes. But my point is, most people realistically walk around with a leaky bucket. People who
100%.
are hateful online. People
You know what really helped me fix my leaky bucket? Going to the gym and buying clothes that I like. Dude, it's nice. It's nice.
who harass people online, people who are constantly fighting other people, probably don't have a very reinforced self-validation bucket.
Now, a covert narcissism or a covert narcissist could align with enviosity 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. But me, hell no.
And so they're taking shots at other people, trying to validate themselves. That's why people say, like, bullies only bully you because they're self-conscious. That's a validation thing as well. Bullies only bully because they can't fill your bucket. You're going to do anything you can. You're going to hurt other people. You're going to take from people that you like.
Okay, so I was a bully when I was in high school, but here's the difference. I was the bullies that bullied the bullies. So if I saw someone bullying someone else, then I would bully the person who bullied, just so they could see how it felt like. And I would get in so much shit for that. I would get in so much shit. I remember there was this little kid. I think his name was Felipe. He's like 9th grade when I was in 12th grade. Bro was just harassing this chick in the locker room. So I just picked him up, threw it in a garbage can, put the lid on it, and then I just sat there. And I sat there for like 30 minutes. Then I was playing like Pokemon on my Nintendo DS while he was like screaming in the trash can. Needless to say, he never did that shit again. But yeah. That shit was wild. Locker room? Yeah.
Like, you're going to take from people you don't like. You're always going to be seeking this because self-validation
Anyways, he died. He had asthma. Okay, this isn't coughing of Andy and Lele. Anyways, can we get some W assault in the chat? Anyways, that was a kid, doesn't count.
is like the very basis of liking yourself. The reality is that people have a parasocial relationship with Tectone, even if it's negative. Parasocial relationships are not necessarily positive feelings. I think self-validation is like one of the core things that will get you out of addiction. It will get you out of the drama triangle cycle. It'll get you into having a happier life. If you can just validate your own feeling, then anybody else validating you is just extra. If you already believe in yourself and you believe in your words and you believe in your intentions and you know who the you are, you don't need anybody else to tell you that, but it is nice.
True.
But I think the thing that
I will say, even though I don't crave validation from the internet, I love it. When somebody comes to my chat, they say, "Oh, Techie, you look great today." I'm like, you know what? You're right. I do. When they say, "Oh man, you're looking extra shiny today," I say, "Thanks. I polished myself up just for you." This shit feels good. It does. It's nice. I'm like, hey man, thank you, brother.
gets on people's nerves
You look
about
so
Tectone
shiny.
is that, if nothing else, Tectone validates himself. Tectone does not need anyone to tell him who the he is. Tectone does not need anyone to tell him that he's a good person. Tectone does not need anyone to tell him he's in the right. Tectone does not need your opinion to make him feel better about himself. And if you're a person who walks around who is not able
Y'all remember what I said at the beginning of the video, right?
to validate yourself, that's annoying. If you cannot imagine what it is like to be inherently validated, that's gonna kind of be annoying.